guys, how are you? How are you doing today? Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world that you're watching this on at this moment. Today I am talking about 5 things I wish I knew in my 20s. I know I look like I'm in my 20s, but I'm not. So jokes apart, so these are 5 things I knew I wish I knew in my 20s or in my early days when I started in my career. I wish I knew this. I wish someone told me this, and then probably my life would be better in terms of the things that I went through, the experience that I had to go through along the way to get to where I am today. So top on the list of things is that there is power in saying no. Hear me out. I'm not saying say no to every opportunity that comes your way. I'm not saying say no to unnecessarily, but there is actually power in saying no. We tend to take on a lot. When I say we, I kind of mean people on the diversity spectrum, so the BAME people, so Black, Asian, minority, because of the kind of place that we grew up in. We feel like if we say no, we don't have the right to say no. We feel like we don't have the power to say no. We feel like if we say no, this opportunity will get taken away. But no, there is actually power to say no. And when you say no, the trick is to always provide a solution to your no. Say, for example, I learned this in a big way with one of my managers. So she came on. She was a contractor at the time. She was our HR director, and she came, and at the time I was working with her as an HR advisor. And whenever they give our team something to do, Mel, that's the name, she would say, oh, unfortunately my team is quite stretched, we can't take on this because we're doing X, Y, and Z. Happy to do this, but we need to deprioritize this. So listen to the way she constructively said no without saying no. Do you understand the gist? Do you understand where I'm getting at? So I'm not saying just say no for the sake of no. Genuinely, if you don't have the capacity to take on extra stuff, let it be known. And if you are going to take on that extra stuff, let it be known what you're going to deprioritize, what you're going to decommission. And if there is no room to decommission anything, then let it be known that this will be delegated, or this will be done at a different time. Because a lot of time we feel like we're fire for fire. So they come and say, senior management will come and be like, oh, sorry, this is happening, we need to move on quickly, and we need to take on this project, for instance. That's okay, we can take on the project. Just tell me which project I need to remove resource from in order to fully utilize and resource this new project. So do not be afraid to say no. That's on one thing. And another thing is that sometimes opportunity comes your way, and someone might feel like it's an amazing opportunity for you, but if you know that you can't do it because there is another conflicting priority at some point, say no. Rather than taking it on and not giving it your full attention, not giving it your full capacity, because no one is going to remember that you did us a favor. All they're going to remember is that you didn't deliver what you told us you were going to deliver. So be careful. Have the power to say no. So that's number 1. Number 2, the people you work with, the environment you work at is very important. When you start out in your career, or when you want to move, sometimes you need to take risk, which is fair enough and is understandable. If we don't take risks, sometimes you might not get to that point that you want to get to in life. So yes, it's okay to take risk. However, when you want to take those risks, do your research on the people you're going to be working with and the environment you're going to be working at, and look at what is important to you at that given point in your life. So everyone goes through a journey in life, and different things are important at different priorities at different points. So I'll use myself as an example. Right now, the kind of working environment that I want is a flexible one because I have little children. So that is very important to me. So my environment of any job that I will be looking at, one of the top priorities of me moving or taking on a new job will be a flexible working environment. So if that environment is not flexible, then it's not for me, because I need that flexibility because of my young family. For someone else going through the journey of life, they might not have a young family anymore. You might still be single, or you don't have kids yet, or your kids are grown. So you will be in a different space in life at that time. So what might be important to you might be healthcare benefit. What might be important to you might be a giant fat paycheck. Everyone loves a giant fat paycheck. You know, what might be important to you at that particular time will be going into the office or staying at home. It depends. So do not be afraid of identifying what is important to you. So first and foremost, look inward. What is important to you? Then go for a company that resonates with what is important to you, because when you're there, you're working at the same time you are able to fulfill your personal desire as well. Secondly, the people that you work with is also important. There's some people that you come across in the workplace and they're like a nightmare, and there's some people that you come across in the workplace, they're pleasant, they're lovely, and there's some people that you come across in the workplace that and it's okay, because ultimately you're here to do a job. If you're not in the same company, you probably will not know each other. Your path will not cross. So it's important to just realize that it is what it is. They are your colleagues. Some colleagues become friends, but not all colleagues will be friends. So the earlier you accept that, the better for your working environment, the better for your personal health, and the better for your mental health. Because a lot of us make that mistake and we want our colleagues to be our friend. No, they're not your friend. They are your colleagues, simple and short. And again, we're a victim of our environment, because most times, you know, where we're coming from or how we grew up sometimes impacts these things, because everyone is family. You know, your friend is your auntie. A lot of people, like my cousin is my family friend, but it's my cousin, you know, so because that's just how we gravitate. But be careful in the working environment. You know, some colleagues are amazing and you have a life outside of work. That is good, and that is, you know, encouraged if that is for you. But it's important for you to understand that not all colleagues will be that. So that's number 2 tip. Number three tip is the fact that you need to be shameless. When I mean be shameless, I don't mean run around your office or be on Zoom call with your top off, or be on Zoom call and be sleeping or snoozing or something, or be at work and not respect yourself. That's not what I mean. What I mean by being shameless is the fact that you need to go for what you want shamelessly. A lot of the time we hold ourselves back because we're afraid of what people will think. We're afraid, you know, of what the outcome will be. Be shameless about it. Be vocal about what you want. If this is what you want, then go for what you want. Don't wait for someone to bring what you want to your lap. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that. We wait to be recognized. Why don't you recognize yourself? Why don't you be like, oh, actually, Abiola is amazing. You know, why don't you be like, actually, I am good. Actually, I could be better. That's where you need to have some honest, truthful conversation with yourself. Do you deserve this? Yes or no? Are you qualified for this? Yes or no? And there's no harm in asking. So that's what I mean by be shameless about it. So if there's an opportunity that's come up in your workplace, for instance, maybe there's an opportunity for promotion that has come up, ask. Like, oh, you know, I've seen that X, Y, and Z have moved on. Are we recruiting for that position? You get, oh, yes or no, we recruit. Oh, can I put myself forward? At least what that does in the mind of your manager is the fact that he knows that you're looking. He knows that the fact that you're willing to step up. Because sometimes, depending on how you market yourself and how you place yourself, they might not even know that you have ambition to do anything more than what you're currently doing. So the only way for us as managers, as, you know, as recruiters, as people within that space to know that you're ready to take on to that next level is if you ask. Sometimes we think, oh, you know, you should know, you should recognize that I've been doing this for so long, I can do something else. Yes, we might recognize that, but remember that we are also responsible for other people, not just yourself. So if someone else comes up to me and asks me, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you know, that person asked yes, this or no. But if you don't, how would I know? So be shameless about what you want. I'm not sure what number that is. That looks like that's number 4. Let's have a recap. I forgot to myself now. Let's have a recap. So number 1 thing, learn to say no. Number 2, where you work with and who you work with is important. Number 3, be shameless. Okay, so number 4, because where you work and who you work with is one together. And so finally, the final thing is salary. Yes, I wish I knew about salary. I wish I knew about salary. The trick with salary is do your research before you go. Don't undersell yourself and don't oversell yourself, because sometimes you might not be the only one we are considering. We might be considering other people. So if you tell me that I want this and someone else is telling me they want that and you are equally good, I might go for the lowball person. So do your research. We have so many things that we can use to do our research. You can do your research on Glassdoor. That's a common one. You can just type, what is the average salary for a managing consultant? What is the average salary that we pay an analyst in the financial sector? So always put the sector that you're looking at, because different sector pays different amount. So private sector definitely pays well, more than the public sector. However, they all have their own functional benefit, which we'll look at another time. What's different, the pros and cons of working with a private company and with a public company. So they all have different. So you don't want to give a private salary to a public salary, and you don't want to give a public salary to a private salary. So you kind of need to be careful. So negotiate your salary. And the point of negotiation is not when you're still doing your interview. The point of negotiation is after you've been offered the job. I know there's a lot of controversies around this. So if, for instance, you're doing your application and they ask you for your salary, desired salary, yes, you can put it there. But if they don't ask you, don't say it. If you ask, say it. That's why we need to have done our research beforehand. If you are doing an interview and they ask you that, what's your salary expectation? It's a trick question. At the same time, it's not a trick question. So if I'm interviewing you and I say, thank you for your interviews. Just a final question for me. Can you let me know your salary expectation? If you have an answer because you've done your research, all well and good. So, but as a manager, what I would expect to hear is a range. I could say something like, as a candidate, I could say something like this and say, I already put my salary expectation on the application job and I will go with the market rate. You can leave it at that if you don't know. But if you know, you can say something like, I would expect to be paid in line with the market rate, and I've looked at the market rate and the range is 100 to 150,000. Simple. Don't commit. Don't put a figure. Put a range. And that's doing the application. However, after you've gotten the job and they've come back to you to say, amazing during the interview, we really love you and we want you to come work with us, and this is the salary expectation. Then at that particular time, remember that you've had 2 stages. So one, on your application form, you've given a range, or during your interview, you've given a range, or if peradventure you didn't even talk about it doing those 2 things, they would have put a salary on the job description, so you already have an idea of how much the job was going to pay. So if the job was saying you're paying 50 to 60,000 or 60 to 70,000, is already on the job advert. Yeah. So when they come back and say the range that they've put is 50 to 70, and they come back and offer you 60,000, then you can go back and say, it was amazing. I really enjoyed my time interviewing with you. I just wanted to ask, is there any movement on the salary at all? Movement on the salary. Don't ask them to say, can you increase the salary to 60,000, 65,000 or 70,000? No, because you could be even cutting yourself short. Because if you say there's any movement in the salary, they could come back and say, actually, yes, we can increase the salary to 68,000 or 70,000. But what if you say 65,000? You've thought for them and you've put yourself in that box. So ask for a movement. Is there any movement, or can we negotiate on the salary at all? And then wait for the next conversation to come. So those are 5 tips of the things that I wish I knew, when I started out. Because when I started out, I accepted anything. I'm like, I'm looking for a job, I beg. Yes, please. I will take that. That's okay. I will take that job. And no matter the stage you start from, even if the salary is 25,000, even if the salary is 30,000, still ask. The thing is, the job is already yours. So whether you ask or not, it's not being taken away because you didn't say, no, I don't want this job. They've asked you, like, oh, amazing, I really like this job. I will want to talk to you. Is there any negotiation on the salary? Is there any concession on the salary? Is there any movement on the salary? So there's that kind of language that you need to use, this terminology that you need to use, and then you see where it goes. And they say, oh, no, there's no movement, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, that's fine, I'm happy, I'll sign the contract. Or no, I'm not signing the contract. The ball is in your court, whatever you decide that you want to do. But ultimately, when you've been offered the job, then you can ask. Once you've been offered the job, my sister, my brother, don't be afraid. The job is not being taken away from you. The job is definitely yours. Thank you. And like, comment, subscribe, and I hope this video helps someone, on their journey to progress in their career and to dreaming in their career. And watch out for the space, because soon we are going to be launching amazing products that you can be part of to help you, and build you up as well. Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.